Okay, this is Friday, August 17th. This is a day I've been waiting for. Had court. The court was about the father's motion to end phone calls. And I didn't even have any phone calls with my daughter till February this year. And they were really quick to cut those off. So my phone calls stopped, and my supervised visits stopped. Charlena Pymack last month told me, and my lawyer, that she thought Delara needed to see me, and she was against them stopping the visits. But today was a different story. Today she was very excited to do and say anything she could to encourage the judge to cut me off from all contact with my daughter, not just the visit. So it was a little bit surprising, but not very much surprising, because Judge Sheila Calloway in juvenile court, she does whatever she wants to do. She doesn't care what the law says. She doesn't care how harmful her orders are, unlawful orders. She does what she wants to, and she has no qualms whatsoever about using visitation to punish. I guess she does this in other situations too, but using visitation to punish the parent if the parent does something the judge doesn't like disobeying an unlawful order, an unconstitutional and unenforceable order. And it's not like, and I did say this today, I've never, any of her lawyers, from day one, everything they've done, everything that's gone on in there has been against the law, against everything that's right and good, and against all common sense as far as what is in a child's best interest. So basically, it wasn't supposed to be a termination hearing. They haven't specified any grounds for termination, but that's going to be the next step. If they get away with what they got away with today, and I tried to prepare my daughter. I said, you may never see me again till you turn 18. That's just the way it is. And it's not your fault. There's nothing you did to cause this. There's nothing you can do to stop it. The only thing you can do, if you want to, is tell everybody. Tell everybody what happened, what you want, how you feel. And eventually, if you tell enough people, you'll run into somebody who will be able to do something to help you. And she told me, because when she was being so violent at school in second grade, and I encouraged her to use her words and tell people how she felt, she said, well, I use my words and nobody seems to care or be able to help. So I told her, just keep using your words. Keep telling more people. And if she has to wait till she's 18, if we both live that long, then she'll be free to do whatever she wants to do. So I am glad I told her that, but the way she's been for the last 3 years, and the despair, and hopelessness, and pain specifically related to being cut off from me. She's articulated that over and over and over again for 3 years, how distressed she is to be cut off from me. And see, the thing is, if people say, well, just jump through their hoops, go along, play their game. I cannot do that, because I have seen how my daughter responds when the court gives me what they think my daughter needs. They're never, Judge Sheila Calloway, now Court of Appeals or Tennessee Supreme Court or Federal Supreme Court, may eventually give my daughter and me what the law requires and justice requires. But if I can't have a meaningful... My daughter, she said that herself. When she was seeing me almost every week, she wanted to die. She said there's no point in living without family. And she was seeing me. So I said, and this is on recording, this is a February 11th phone call, and I said, are you saying that you're seeing me so little now that it's almost like not having a mother at all? Or something like that. Because I was just trying to understand where she's coming from. And she said, pretty much. So if she's saying that when she is seeing me every couple of weeks and having very pleasant visits with me, 2 hours every week, I can only imagine what she's going through going at 12 months or 9 months. She'll be going at least 3 months without seeing me. I'm pretty sure, unless there's some kind of interlocutory appeal that will reinstate my supervised visits. And I think, because I am not going to jeopardize my daughter's mental health more than it's already been done, and not just temporarily, but long term. She's not going to be free, possibly till she's 18. And when she's free, she's probably going to be a mess, because she's a mess now. But I can't, unless they give me the opportunity to have the contact my daughter needs, she's going to be suffering. She's going to be suffering whether she sees me or whether she doesn't see me. And she would rather be seeing me, even if it's a little, but that's not enough to meet her needs. So when I say we don't have anything left to lose, that's what I mean. And there's nothing to gain by me complying with these orders. And I wanted to share, yeah, this is one thing. This is this book. Most people are not in the position I'm in. Most people will either cave in and hope for the best, which if there's never been any harm and the case against you is completely based on lies, and the judge and everyone else is ignoring all evidence to support your case and to disprove the lies, you're not... I just, if somebody has a drug problem, or if they've abused their kids, and then they get counseling, get parenting classes, get rehab, get clean, so they jump through all those hoops, and then they get their kids back, that's one thing. But when you haven't done anything to harm your child, anything to give the judge, or anybody, the right to invade the protected sphere of your family life, if you haven't done anything and then you start complying with all these demands, all you're doing is you're undermining freedom and liberty and justice for everybody. And I love this part of the Tennessee Constitution. I got this from Sharon Ford, Tennessee Republican Assembly. She had some of these printed up, and I was so glad. She gave me my little pocket Tennessee Constitution. Declaration of Rights, Article 1 says, all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness. For the advancement of those ends, they have at all times an unalienable and indefeasible right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. One person can't alter, reform, or abolish the government. It takes a lot of people. That's what Connie regularly keeps saying, is there's problems, she can't fix them herself. She can't reform or restore integrity to the family court system one case at a time. And she's got those, I got a bunch of her postcards, and I'm going to help her send them out. Section 2. Government being instituted for common benefit. The doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. That means when judges give you, interfere in your life without any, having any legal right to, and then you jump through all these hoops, you should not be required to jump through. When you're complying with unlawful orders, that is wrong. That is the arbitrary power and oppression, and your non-resistance to it, your compliance with it, is, the writers of this Tennessee Constitution say, and lots of state constitutions have this same wording in it, it is destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. And what I know about how long it took the corruption to get to the point where it is now, and with me knowing that if people had stood up for the law, for the Constitution, and for truth, and for liberty and justice, if they had stood up and made whatever sacrifices they needed to secure liberty and support the Constitution and maintain the integrity of our legal system, I would not be going through what I'm going through right now, and my daughter would not be going through what she's going through right now, which is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Not to mention a lot of the kids who are or have been in foster care for no abuse or neglect, no abuse or neglect, no good reason. They are stealing kids from good enough parents that give them some money. If poverty is not a reason to steal people's kids. If you took the money that foster parents get and gave it to these families who are in poverty, you could keep the family together and avoid unnecessary trauma. But does anybody think about that? Doesn't seem like it. Anyway, back to this. Why I am standing my ground. Number one, there is nothing significant that they're ever going to give me in that court if I comply with these orders. Now, if I had reason to think that complying with these orders would benefit my daughter, I would do it in a heartbeat. But because of what I know about Delara's dad over the past 10 or 11 years, what I know about this court system over the past 3 or 4 years, I know with absolute certainty, that jumping through these hoops will not benefit my daughter. What will benefit her is requiring, well, just because I stand my ground doesn't mean the court's going to do the right thing. But my conscience will be clear because I'm standing my ground. I'm resisting. I'm doing my civic duty by resisting. And that will leave me with a clear conscience. I'll maintain my mental health. I will be grieving every single day, like I've been grieving the last 3 years for what's being done to my daughter. I will be feeling her pain every single day, just like I've been feeling it for the past 3 years. But I will still maintain mental health and my spiritual health. My conscience will be clear. I know I will not be enabling abuse. If I jump through these hoops, I will be enabling abuse. And that's what, it's because of what people before me didn't do that I'm suffering now. And my daughter's suffering now. And so many people are suffering now. So there's nothing more important in this case than me maintaining my mental health and my integrity. Because if I do the wrong thing and I lose my mental stability, I won't be much good to my daughter when she turns 18 and comes home, or whenever she gets to come home. So that's got to be number one. I've said that before. And her mental health, there's nothing I could do. I have to have contact with her. What I have taught her and the way I have encouraged her, I don't know how far that's going to get her. But my conscience is clear knowing I did what I could. And whatever harm comes to her, it's not by my hand. So I've got to give that to God and keep doing what I believe God wants me to do. But anyway, this is if you've got the Ron Palmer's Not in the Child's Best Interest, and we talk about undue burdens, that's my position. I'm saying these orders are undue burdens. For you to say, well, you've had a psychological evaluation. We don't have any reason to think that you're not mentally capable of caring for your child. You've had a parenting assessment. That there's no reason to think there's any issues with you being able to adequately parent your child. But unless you take these again, we're not going to let you even have supervised visits with your child. So that's an undue burden. And the home study, and they talk about in here when a divorce, and this divorce court, it's not much different. In the court I'm in, I wasn't married to her dad. When a divorce court requires parents to suffer through a family study as a precondition to exercising their parental rights, we believe that court is placing an undue burden on those parents. And it goes back, this is really very interesting. This book was like $35 or $40. Anybody in any kind of family court thing needs to find a way to get this. Seriously, it's some of the best money I've ever spent, and I had it in my first court. Yeah, my first case, and it's only because I read this book that I knew you have to bring up your constitutional rights at the trial court level, and if you don't get them in the record, you can't bring them up on appeal, because I had a gag order reversed, and it wouldn't have happened if I had not had this book and known to bring it up at the trial court level. But anyway, they connect this to an abortion. What is it? Casey? Planned Parenthood. Okay. A dispute between Planned Parenthood of Eastern Pennsylvania and Casey. Casey was the governor of Pennsylvania at that time. It deals with privacy rights established in Roe v. Wade and Pennsylvania's attempt to place administrative restrictions on an individual's right to exercise a fundamental liberty. I guess they think it's a fundamental liberty to have an abortion. I don't agree with that. But they say, the Palmers say, please do not let your personal feelings about abortion cloud your judgment on the court's reasoning regarding fundamental liberties. This book is not about abortion. It's about protecting parents' fundamental liberties, and this case on abortion rights sets out important guiding principles for protecting parental rights, however ironic that might be. So, this is true. It says, in parental rights cases, the bright line is clear and present danger to the child, or the parent properly being found to be unfit. I've never been properly found to be unfit. They're trying. They're trying. Only when the state can show a clear and present danger to the child or unfitness can the state interfere with parental rights. And DCS has loopholes to get around that, but I'm saying enough. I'm saying enough. Because it's not like they're going to give me my daughter back if I jump through their hoops. They're not going to. They've made that clear. They have made that abundantly clear through orders, through their actions, through the kind of things they bring up in court. So I am in a position most people are not in, and I do not. If somebody has something left to lose, I mean that's a decision they have to make for themselves, whether to stand up to abuse or not. Depends, just depends, and that's a personal decision people have to make. And I'm not going to tell people go do what I did. But I'm telling you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But anyway, so today they took away. They didn't just take away what my daughter's dad asked for. They took away my supervised visits. Supervised, and you're not supposed to supervise visitation unless there is definite proof to show that the child will be harmed if the child is. If the visitations are not supervised. They never showed that. They have never, ever, ever, since they first asked this 3 years ago, nobody has ever shown anything whatsoever to show that my daughter would be harmed if my visits were not supervised. They've taken the, best interest thing. Oh, it's not in our best interest about different things. But best interest isn't just what you imagine it to be. You can't just say, oh, it's not in our best interest. There's guidelines. There's guidelines in Rule 40 of the Garden ad litem. That spells out best interest, considerations. And in the best interest guidelines in determining custody, it talks about stuff that you're supposed to take into consideration when you're determining a child's best interest. You can't say, oh, it's not in the child's best interest to have contact with her mother because her dad, the child's dad, doesn't like the child's mother. That's no excuse. Or, oh, well, the mother's not following unlawful orders, or the mother's doing something I don't think is appropriate. That doesn't cut it. It doesn't cut it. And people have apparently been letting it slide for a long time. So I lost and he's been ignoring the court order for the past month anyway. So I haven't seen my daughter in a month. But I did get to tell her, you might not see me for a long time. But I told her to do good at school, be respectful, be patient, do the right thing. I cannot, according to this judge, I don't have any right to call the teacher, email the teacher, and say, how's Delora doing this week? I don't have any, she's enjoining me from, or restraining me from getting any information from the school. I can't even see her report card. Now, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? I can't see my daughter's report card. Oh, she might put it on the internet. What if I did? I'm the parent. If my daughter doesn't, seriously, let's just think about that for a minute. Think about that. If a judge told you you've never harmed your child obviously needs you, you cannot speak to your child, you cannot send mail to your child, you cannot talk to your child on the phone, you cannot talk to your child's teacher and you cannot get information from your child's teacher about your child, her behavior, her grades. You can't look at, have your teacher send you any pictures or drawings or schoolwork. You can't have a parent-teacher conference with your child's teacher. You cannot get any information from your child's pediatrician about your child's health. You cannot get any information from your child's counselor about her mental health. So you tell me I can't see my daughter, I have zero contact with her, can't send her an email, can't send her cards, anything. That reminds me, I wanted to read something that I thought was really bizarre. So, basically, I don't know how anybody would say I have any parental rights whatsoever. I can't think, there's not one. What right? I don't have the right to any information about my child. See, her dad's been doing this already, even before he got the judge too. When she was at camp, he wouldn't tell me where she was going or what she was doing. And they say they're afraid I'm going to show up. I've been following a restraining order for 2 years. Didn't do me any good. They're like, oh, well, we can't tell her ahead of time because she might show up and embarrass the child. I've never embarrassed my child. Going to, I don't know if I did trim her bangs one time she cut a V in them and I trimmed them to make them even because I thought it looked better than having this V, and she was embarrassed. So I don't know if that counts about me embarrassing my daughter or not. That's the only thing I can think of. But I wanted to read this. So basically, it was a termination hearing, and without complying with anything of the law, they cut me off everything. And October 23rd, the judge said something about how if I don't do my psych eval and functional something, it's like I'll never see my daughter. And if I don't do a home study, I'll never get to bring my daughter to my house. What's it going to take? If this has been so crazy, I could let them in my house. Maybe they'll find something to complain about. Maybe they won't. But anytime my daughter's dad wants to annoy me, he'll make he's done it. He's got a history of this. And I'm not going to set myself up to that because it is damaging to my mental health. And I don't even want to try to make that okay in my head for him to be abusive like that and abusively misuse the system. I don't want that to be okay with me. I want to acknowledge that it is wrong. And yeah. Okay, I read this today. Or I didn't read, yeah, I did read it. They had me read this because I gave them, I knew her dad had the letters. I mailed her a letter and a card. This is what I wrote in a card. This is the only thing that came up today. Dear Delara, I keep checking my mailbox for something from you. Hurry and send me something. Last night when I was walking, and I'm just telling her what happened that day that I thought might interest her. Last night when I was walking Bonnie, she saw a possum and pulled so hard the leash slipped out of my hand, and she grabbed the possum and shook it violently. I got Bonnie as quickly as I could and left the possum. I think it was dead, but I didn't check. 2 days ago, when I let the birds out, the chickens and the ducks, a vole had apparently drowned in their water trough. One of the ducks ate it right up. It took a while. I watched a video of an owl eating something big, a rabbit, I think. I never thought it would get it down. I just got stung by a wasp on my arm. I sprayed the nest they were building. I had a really bad wasp reaction. But anyway, that's just things that happened to me. Thought she'd find them interesting. Guess what? Opposing counsel said, you mentioned death 5 times. Why did you mention death 5 times in this note to your daughter? And I'm like, I wasn't aware I had mentioned death 5 times. I was telling her what things that were interesting, things having to do with nature. We used to do a lot of nature study. So that goes to show you they will make something negative out of anything. And let's see if we can count up 5. Okay, death. I think it must be, the possum might have been dead. The vole was definitely dead. The owl ate a rabbit. So that's a dead rabbit. I got stung by a wasp on my arm. I sprayed the nest they were building. Maybe that's enough information to let Delara know that I killed a wasp. So I didn't. That's only 4 if you want to do that. So I don't know what the five is, and we didn't really have much time today to go into it. But this is crazy. That is. I mean, I wanted to laugh her out of the courtroom, but they're very serious about it. Oh, because they're trying to say I've made my daughter talk about death and dying and asking people to kill her when I never did. I was horrified when I found out she was talking about, she thought about killing herself. And see, her dad doesn't like me exposing that. My daughter is so distressed from being cut off from me, particularly me, that she has said, life's not worth living. There's no point in life. She told that to her principal. After she told that to her principal in February, I talked to her about it on the phone, and I was trying to calm her down and let her know there is reason for life, and lots of people don't have families, and she does have me. And she might not have me in her life like she wants me, but she'll be 18 one day, and who knows? After this, she might decide to live with me the rest of her life and never get married. Who knows what she's going to do? But I someday she'll be free. I hope. But for them, the proof is in the record. I never put any ideas into her head about any of the suicidal ideation. And they're lying, because in DCS's petition, they say, oh, the child had never made any comments like that before February 11th, where we've got video of February 8th, where the principal was talking about the incident at school, where my daughter made these comments in February. She's also made them at other times. In September, when they had Mobile Crisis come out to the school. And she identified me. She was stressed out because of missing me, of being cutting off from me. She always felt sick. She was always in pain because she's cut off from her mother. And at that point, she had had no contact with me since February. March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Almost 7 months, no contact. And she said she always felt sick, always in pain. I want to die, is what she said. Wrote it down. I didn't see the note, but it was well documented. So how can they blame me for putting those ideas into her head? And in the IEP, when it said, I've thought about killing myself, but wouldn't do it. That was like in April. I hadn't seen her since February. My visits have been supervised. If I said something about, you need to be so sad you feel like you're going to die if you don't see me. If I'd said anything like that, it would have been written. Somebody would have noticed that. That came from her pain, from inside of her, because of the circumstances she's being forced to live in. I had nothing to do with that. It is my absence from her life. It is none of my actions. It's none of my words that are distressing her. So that's the court update. Ooh, I can sing a song. I don't know if I've sung this song yet. But Connie regularly did a live video last night. I didn't see it till today. And one of her clients is in jail. And it's a mess. I mean, it's the stuff, and I'm glad Connie shared this, but she might get retaliated against. She didn't share private identifying information. I hope she does later. I hope when she talks to her client wants all this broadcast. And we need to be sharing these stories because enough people don't know about them. They think, oh, well, if DCS got involved, or if you lost custody, or if you had your parental rights terminated, then you had to have done something wrong. That is not true. It might have been true someday, and it should be true, but it is not true, and it hasn't been for a long time. So I'm going to sing, if I can sing it without messing it up. Have you been to jail for justice? I want to shake your hand, 'cause sitting in and lying down are ways to take a stand. Have you sung a song for freedom or marched the picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Then you're a friend of mine. You law-abiding citizens, come listen to this song. Laws were made by people, and people can be wrong. Once unions were against the law, but slavery was fine. Women were denied the vote while children worked the mine. The more you study history, the less you can deny it. going to do a separate recording just of that song, and I'm going to dedicate it to Connie Reguli's client who is in jail. And I don't think she was even taking a stand. I think it was just a lot of nonsense. But when I went to jail for no good reason and no convictions, I felt like it's almost a blessing. It's almost an honor for me to be here, because lots of other people could be here and they would suffer more from spending several days in jail than I did. So if somebody's got to go to jail for standing up for justice or fighting for their kids or not submitting to the oppression, then, why not me? And my motto, one of my mottos is, when you submit to oppression, you deny justice her opportunity to prevail. So that's why it's important to not back down. Not back down. That's one of the songs Bill Lee did at his events, was I Won't Back Down. Anyway, I'm going to stop that there.